Voices. I am with Dwight Hicks today. He is going to be speaking to the Rotary here on Bevel State campus. So, Dwight, what is your position and who do you work for again?
Okay, I work for the Drummond Company, and I have worked for the Drummond Company for 40 years now, and I am their director of reclamation, environmental compliance, environmental construction. So this has been my livelihood for ever since I basically got out of college. My
goodness. And you did tell me you are not a native of Walker County.
That is true. I was born and reared on the coast of Texas to a rice farming family, and went to school at Stephen F. Austin in East Texas. My first job out of college was at Auburn. I had a research job there for 2 years, and then Drummond offered me a job, and so I've been here for 40 years now, and it's been a good life.
What attracted you to Walker County?
Well, it was a good place for a job. At the time, the Drummond Company was up and coming in the coal mining business. They were looking for somebody who would be able to take over and run their reclamation department, permitting department, look after anything that dealt with the environment. And with my background in forestry and as a farmer, you know, that's what made me attracted to them. And so it's worked out real well for both.
I say it has. I was kind of inferring that maybe it was Deb that brought you here.
Well, I met her after I moved here.
Oh, I thought maybe you met her at Auburn.
Well, that would have been nice, because that meant that I would have gotten to have known her a little bit sooner.
Sure,
but
right.
Debbie and I have been married now for 38 years, and it's been a wonderful life together.
Well, I know everybody's admired this attractive, dynamic couple, but I thought maybe she brought you here. But that reclamation thing, how long has Walker County been doing surface mining? That wasn't always done, was it?
No, coal mining started out, you know, it really goes back to probably the mid-1800s. It was going on before the Civil War. They were getting it primarily out of the riverbanks, just where there was outcrops of coal, and they were using it for heating their houses and things like that. And then it started when the Civil War came along. Well, then, you know, there was a need for coal, you know, to be able to make steel, iron. You know, they had to have it for munitions, and so it got to be a bigger thing. And then it was primarily, it started out, it was an underground mining industry. But then after, it was really probably after the Panama Canal was built, that you had more surface type equipment that came available, and so there was a little bit of surface mining that started probably in the mid-1920s or so. And then the Drummond Company actually got started in the late 30s, early 40s, and they started out as a small underground mining company, and then it advanced into surface coal mining, and that became the mainstay for the Drummond Company, like from the early 60s up to probably the mid-80s or so. And then we bought Alabama Byproducts, which was primarily an underground mining company in a big way. And so we multitasked for years as both surface coal mining and underground mining. And as conditions have changed, especially in the market conditions for today, you know, we're just strictly, right at the moment, we're strictly doing underground, longwall underground mining here in Alabama. So it has evolved. It has changed a lot over the years. Production has, you know, it has peaked and is going down, you know, now, and that's largely due to, unfortunately,
regulations.
That's right. Regulations is a big part of it, and this administration we have. And then there's a global economy. The turn down in the global economy had something to do with it. And then natural gas technology has allowed natural gas to be produced more effectively, and so that's direct competition. So between those three, there's been a turn down in nationwide in the coal mining business, and that has had a direct effect on us here in Walker County.
That's true. Now, Walker County has always been, wouldn't you say they had, even the underground mining, it was slope. And we've never had, especially Walker County, there have never been deep shaft mines. Is my thinking right on that?
That's largely true. Most of the mines have gone in on the slope here in Walker County, but there has been large underground mines that have used that method, and that's just because of the depth of the coal that has been mined, as opposed to like in Jefferson County, Tuscaloosa County, the underground mines that have gone in there, of which we have a large one at Shoal Creek. You know, the coal depth that you're needing to recover is, say, at 1,000 feet or more, so you have to go in, you know, either by elevator or most of the mining is done with longwall equipment. And even though at Shoal Creek we still bring the coal out on a slope belt that is over a mile, it's a mile long, it still has to go down 1,200 feet deep. So the manpower, the equipment, everything like that goes down in elevators, and it's all mining that is what we call below dip. There is no surface water that will leave the mine other than by pumping. And years ago, whenever the underground mining was more shallow and it was gone in on a slope, within a lot of times that would be what would be called, you know, above ground mining or above grade mining, to where you could have drainage that could leave, you know, by gravity flow. That's the big difference.
Okay. I was just interested lately. We've been talking and getting information on the fossils.
Oh, yes.
Out of the mines.
Right. And an exciting endeavor, and it's something that a lot of people are interested in because, you know, you're talking about something that goes back millions of years. Right. And Walker County is a
treasure trove of these fossils.
Oh, absolutely. There's a mine that's at Union Chapel that is that was set aside, you know, because of all the fossils. It's been enjoyable for a lot of people.
Oh, it has, and it's so interesting for the children. I just picked up a book in Tuscaloosa, the Museum of Natural History, down at Smith Hall on the campus, University of Alabama. Dr. Dana Errett, he's been on staff about 2 years. And on the cover of this, it shows the actual footprint that was so famous, the Cincosaurus. And this was really, they started bringing that out and really examining it and found out that it was thousands of years old in 1929. So they had a paper available. But I think every library, school library, especially in Walker County, needs to have this book for the students. You know, father was a coal miner, and you don't think much of it. But I think the children, not many children, will not have had a parent or a grandparent or a great-grandparent that was a coal miner. Right. And I want them to be proud of this profession. They worked so hard, and it was dangerous, and they need to be proud. And the contribution these miners made.
Right. This book is a powerful resource. I mean, yes, if this could be put into all the schools where the school kids could see this, be more interest, it's something that they can tie right back to where they live, right here, and know that there's fossils here in Walker County that they can go and visit. And this would be just an excellent resource for them.
Oh, I think so.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Chapter about him that Prescott closely wrote.
So, and we can remind people that you can get this book.
There are some copies left. I don't know how many, but it's still in print.
Gone into the second printing.
Well, especially, and what I want to tell people, especially the libraries in Walker County, should have this. The school libraries should have it.
School
Yeah.
libraries should have that.
Yes.
Here's the logo that I made. Based on Fred and Randy. Yeah, here's Randy Johnson.
You can even refer to
Yeah, Randy Johnson is right there. And the Walker County Commissioner is mentioned in here, I'll bet.
But I don't remember who it was.
Was he in the photo, Prescott?
No, I don't think he was. We have a picture of him, but I don't know if he made it into this. Oh, here's Steve Minkin.
Yep.
Stephen C.
Yes,
Picture. I have put a picture of Stephen C. Minkin when he was out here.
Oh,
And
and he's
just,
in here, and that's in there.
It's not in here. It's in the new book.
The new book.
It's
okay.
a picture. It's a color picture I have, and there was a big pile of rock here, and he had lost his balance at the edge, and he slid 30 feet down.
Oh dear God!
In a trail of smoke. He got up, and I raced over there. And I think Prescott, you were out here.
I was there. I saw a big cloud of dust, but I didn't actually see it fall.
I heard the
it's always
clang,
good.
and so I ran over there, and he got up, and
Oh,
he
so
posed
he
for a
was kinda-
picture.
Ashley Allen, yes, Ashley Allen's student again. What was his name?
His name was Jesse Burton.
And thank
He was a
goodness.
7th grader at the time.
But such a good student, and his grandmother's name, that's so important, that owned the mining property.
Yeah, this was Mrs. Dolores Reed.
She must have owned more
She
properties.
did more than one mine, but her miners told her that the Union Chapel mine, this mine, had more fossils than her other mines. And so that's why this became the mine that Ashley came out to.
Well,
Ashley phoned her. At first, Ashley didn't believe that Jesse was...
he didn't believe his student.
He didn't believe that Jesse's grandmother owned a mine. He thought he was kidding. But Jesse insisted it was true, and Mrs. Reed was amused when she found out about how Ashley reacted when her grandson told Ashley that his grandmother owned a coal mine.
Well, it doesn't sound possible, does it?
Yeah.
My grandmother owns mine. He says, yeah, sure.
She owned maybe 2 or 3, I think. It was more than, I know it was more than one, but this was the one that had the most fossils that the miners saw, and they told her that. And so that's why Ashley came out here.
Okay, and her name was Dolores Reed.
Dolores Reed, spelled R-E-I-D. Anyway, Ashley phoned her, and she was very glad to let people, the group come out, the amateur collectors come out.
That doesn't usually happen, does it?
It doesn't happen often, but it was on January 23rd, 2000. It was not a day like today. A day like today is the best kind of day to come out and look for fossil tracks, because you need low angle sunshine to enhance the shadowing. He was a licensed professional geologist named Stephen C. Minkin, and he saw these tracks, and he realized that there was potential for new knowledge to come out of them, and he insisted that the group members, the members of the amateur collecting group, come together. And he came up with the idea of something that later became known as a track meet.
Oh, a track meet.
A track meet that has nothing to do with running, but a track meet is a meeting where the people who collected fossil trackways come together to have their specimens photographed, cataloged, and classified by a professional, what we call a trace fossil specialist, because tracks are known as trace fossils. They're preserved. Just features in rock that preserve activity. They're preserved activities, and they're called trace fossils. And at the track meets, a professional trace fossil specialist known as an ichnologist would inspect the tracks and try to classify, interpret it, decide if it's an scientifically important specimen, or whatever. And so we did that many times. But it was Steve Minkin who came up with that idea.
When I go outside, I think it was last night or night before, and I'm looking at the moon, and the face was looking at me. What makes the face on the moon? It's got eyes, nose, and a mouth.
He looks like he's singing too.
Yes.
The face on the moon is due to just geological features on the moon called maria. They're ancient lava plains, and they're darker than the highlands, which are the lighter rock. And those ancient lava plains just happen to give us the impression of a face.
Of a face. Well, that is God's creation.
It's due to these ancient frozen lava plains. And if there were water on the moon, which there isn't necessarily, the man on the moon would be filled with water. His eyes, his nose.
Well, to me,
they're lowlands, they're low areas.
To me, Rani, it's all God's creation. Nobody else's. Only God. See around, who you think created all this? Only God, no one else.
Well, if you go
for us to enjoy.
I was going to say that on the other side of the moon, you don't find these.
Well, there you go.
It's
his business too.
It's covered with craters on the other side. But
Barbara, you're adorable. Prescott, she needs to come to the next meeting, right?
We have to recruit her.
Well, anything I see, God gave it to us. He created us. Everything, every piece of sand, stone, house, rock, people, all His creation.
Barbara, you're absolutely right.
It's true.
Are you a preacher in Phoenix?
No, I sing in a choir.
Well, you have
I
to
go
look
to
at
church.
At my mother's experience with when she was a teenager. She was living in Slovenia, and her town was occupied by German soldiers.
Oh my,
and there was
Barbara!
Activity.
Hitler.
So Barbara can take credit for it because she produced this son.
Well, Steve had emailed me to ask me where I thought this meeting should take place. Or no, he wanted me to be the photographer, because as an astronomer, I had done a lot of photography at the time, and I just decided to start calling it a track meet. And he liked it so much he used it 5 times in his reply, and so that's the way it came. I think that's the way that came about. So we started calling it track meets. And the first one was held in August 2000. At the time of a track meet, that was an opportunity to donate good specimens to the museum, and that was one thing that Steve wanted to encourage. But he died in February 2004, I believe, in a home accident. And so the group, when this site had successfully been preserved, the group decided to name it after him. And I think it was a very wise thing, because Steve, his efforts led to this. I mean, he had a different point of view, because otherwise we would have taken these things home, the site would have been covered up, there'd be no new knowledge. And I learned later from Jim Lacefield, who has written a book on Alabama fossils, about what could happen to things like this, because there have been other sites that tracks are found at that nothing came of them, because
just lost forever.
And no new knowledge would come out of it. But this group, the group of amateur collectors in Alabama, looked at this in a different way, and that made the difference, in my view.
Okay.
Prescott, this important Walker County site. Now, who came to your rescue to help you to bring this to fruition, to leave this, to protect this site?
Well, it was a complicated strategy that we decided. And Ron kind of glossed over one of the most important things, was that he assembled online a massive collection of photographs of all of the tracks. And we had experts come from as far away as Germany who had been able to review the entire collection. So it was extremely important in being able to document these tracks and being able to attract the attention of professionals. And secondly, the media was very helpful. One of the professionals who was involved put this out on the PaleoNet, which is a network of professional fossil experts that is monitored by the media. And then the big problem was that, as you may know, surface coal mines have to be reclaimed by law now. Prior to 1977, there was basically no requirement, and a lot of companies didn't do that, and so there are a lot of unreclaimed coal mines in the state and elsewhere. But since 1977, it's very carefully regulated, and it's very difficult to escape that. So we had this world-class fossil site, which turns out to be the largest collection of tracks, produced the largest collection of tracks in the world from this age, that was going to be reclaimed and turned into a cow pasture because of the law, which is a good law, but you have to make exceptions when there's a need. So anyway, we really struggled to try to figure out how we could do that, and finally the State Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, Jim Griggs was the commissioner at that time, agreed to take the land under their protection, and it's one of the state holdings now, and we're here because we've signed an agreement with them, and they've trust us to bring in and keep keep track of the fossils that come out and make sure that the important ones find their way into museums, and we bring educational groups in all the time. So,
well, Prescott, can you name a few of the people that were instrumental in helping you accomplish this?
Well, Ron has already mentioned Steve Minkin, who was sort of the prime mover in our group. But we met with people in the press, the people from the Mountain Eagle, the Jasper Mountain Eagle. Yes. We also met with Congressman Adderholt, and he actually visited the site, and he was very supportive. We went to Bruce Hamrick, the county commissioner's office, and they also received us very enthusiastically. So we had all these letters of support from local and national political figures, and also from the professionals, a number of professionals, including some of these very well-known people who are from Europe.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this is an important book, and you gentlemen have worked very hard on this. And
it took about 4 years to prepare.
And it has an sort of an atlas of all the different types of tracks and plants in the back, and it also has a history of the preservation of the site with the names of many of the important people who played a role in helping to protect it, and then scientific articles written by some of the top scientists in their field on the different things, the geology and the different types of tracks and plants and so forth.
Yes. Some new species of trackways were named in that book. One of them was named after Mrs. Reed. It's called Nanopus reedi. And it said they're small amphibian tracks, and I believe that the holotype, the main example, was discovered by Prescott.
Oh my goodness! And what an honor for that wonderful lady.
And, yes, it's very, very well deserved. Not many mine owners would allow what happened here.
Well, it's true, but you can't blame them. It's a liability to have people.
We understand their concerns.
And in a year there will be another book written at a different level about this mine and about another mine. About the Carbon Hill material.
Now that's close to my heart because that piqued my interest. As I told Ron, in 1981, Martha Pennington wrote a book about Walker County, and she just mentioned on the first page all the towns in Walker County were mentioned. She started alphabetical order, so she started with Carbon Hill. Mm-hmm. And she mentioned the Cincosaurus, Cobby, Aldridge. Wow. And that piqued my interest.
I should tell you how we got the support of professional paleontologists.
Please do.
What happened was during the time when I was coming out here with the group, I had a sabbatical in South Africa, and I had to go down there for I forgot how long. It was like a month or so. And I had told my host the day before I left that I would like to go and talk to some paleobotanists at the Bernard Price Institute for Paleontological Research on the campus of the University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. And he arranged for me to meet these paleobotanists, and I also met the director of the Price Institute, and I just happened to tell him about the footprints. And he went to his shelf and pulled out a book about fossil footprints from New Mexico. It was an orange book about Permian tracks found in New Mexico. And when I saw that, I said, I've got to order myself a copy of this book. And it told about somebody named Jerry McDonald, who was an amateur paleontologist in New Mexico, who had sought out, who was aware of the existence of fossil footprints in New Mexico, but could not determine where they were coming from. He would see them in homes. They would be part of the structure of a home. He would find snippets of them by collectors there, but nobody knew where they were coming from. And he made it his mission to locate the source of the tracks. And he found them in June 1987. And as a citizen scientist, not as a PhD, not as a professional, as a citizen scientist, and he discovered the source of the tracks. They were in a hillside. And when he found the source, he found incredible trackways, many feet long with large footprints that are believed to have been made by sail-backed animals called pelycosaurs. They were not dinosaurs. They were pre-dinosaur animals. They would have been sail-backed. But so I had to get in touch with Jerry McDonald. And here's one reason why. First of all, our tracks are 30 million years older than the ones they find in New Mexico, and I thought we had something to brag about. I also, when I read about Jerry McDonald, I read some of his writings, and he was aware of the discoveries of tracks in Carbon Hill. And he was aware of
1929.
Yeah, he was aware of them, and so I figured, maybe he might want to know about this discovery. And he came to Alabama in April 2002 to give a talk to us, and he was a big asset to our ability to protect the site. Also, we got in touch with Spencer Lucas, the director of the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science, about this, and he's the one who pointed me to a German paleontologist named Hartmut Haubold that he thought would be interested in these tracks. And he may have told Hartmut Haubold about the website that I had made with the photographs. Because remember that Steve asked me if I would take the pictures. I had posted them on the internet when it became possible to have a disk storage space large enough to hold all the pictures. So it was in 2001. Well, he may have told Spencer Lucas may have told Hartmut Haubold about the website, and Hartmut Haubold was just thrilled to know about this. He came to visit us. He looked at, as Prescott said, he printed out most of the pictures from the website, and he wanted to see the real things. And he came here, and he wrote an incredible article for this publication. He identified new types, and he was just very professional. It was really great that he came. And he also wrote a letter of recommendation to the people who could decide on how to preserve the site, And he said by quality, by quantity, and by geologic age that this is the most important Carboniferous track site. He said hitherto known, which means he believed it was of world-class significance. He said that, and we highlight that in the new book, and we also highlight it here what he said about it. There's pictures of him in there.
Wonderful.
Now Professor Haubold is retired. I believe when he was younger, he was in fact a coal miner.
My goodness, in Germany?
In Germany, when he was much younger.
Oh my.
But he's retired now, and for 14 years at Martin Luther University in Halle, Germany. And he was thrilled when the Berlin Wall came down. He became free to travel, and he would not. Had we made this discovery in 1985 rather than 1999, he wouldn't have been able to come over. He wasn't free. But at the time we made the discovery, he was free to come over because he lived in East Germany.
That is incredible, isn't it?